Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 183 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation, where we use female words. This would be July 2nd if you're starting at the new year. The function of reason. Perception selects and makes the world you see. It literally picks it out as the mind directs. The laws of size and shape and brightness would hold perhaps if other things were equal. They are not equal. For what you look for, you are far more likely to discover than what you would prefer to overlook. The still small voice for God is not drowned out by all the ego's raucous screams and senseless ravings to those who want to hear it. Perception is a choice and not a fact, but on this choice depends far more than you may realize as yet. For on the voice you choose to hear and on the sights you choose to see depends entirely your whole belief in what you are. Perception is a witness but to this and never to reality, yet it can show you the conditions in which awareness of reality is possible, or those where it could never be. Reality needs no cooperation from you to be itself, but your awareness of it needs your help because it is your choice. Listen to what the ego says and see what it directs you to see, and it is sure that you will see yourself as tiny, vulnerable, and afraid. You will experience depression, a sense of worthlessness, and feelings of impermanence and unreality. You will believe that you are helpless prey to forces far beyond your own control and far more powerful than you, and you will think the world you made directs your destiny, for this will be your faith. But never believe because it is your faith it makes reality. There is another vision and another voice in which your freedom lies, awaiting but your choice. And if you place your faith in them, you will perceive another self in you. This other self sees miracles as natural. They are as simple and as natural to it as breathing to the body. They are the obvious response to calls for help, the only one it makes. Miracles seem unnatural to the ego because it does not understand how separate minds can influence each other. Nor could they do so, but minds cannot be separate. This other self is perfectly aware of this, and thus it recognizes that miracles do not affect another's mind, only its own. They always change your mind. There is no other. You do not realize the whole extent to which the idea of separation has interfered with reason. Reason lies in the other self you have cut off from your awareness, and nothing you have allowed to stay in your awareness is capable of reason. How can the segment of the mind devoid of reason understand what reason is or grasp the information it would give? All sorts of questions may arise in it, but if the basic question stems from reason, it will not ask it. Like all that stems from reason, the basic question is obvious, simple, and remains unasked. But think not reason could not answer it. God's plan for your salvation could not have been established without your will and your consent. It must have been accepted by the child of God, for what God wills for her she must receive. For God wills not apart from her, nor does the will of God wait upon time to be accomplished. Therefore, what joined the will of God must be in you now, being eternal. You must have set aside a place in which the Holy Spirit can abide and where she is. She must have been there, since the need for her arose, and was fulfilled in the same instant. Such would your reason tell you if you listened, yet such is clearly not the ego's reasoning. Your reason's alien nature to the ego is proof you will not find the answer there. Yet if it must be so, it must exist. And if it exists for you and has your freedom as the purpose given it, you must be free to find it. God's plan is simple, never circular, and never self-defeating. She has no thoughts except the self-extending, and in this your will must be included. Thus, there must be a part of you that knows her will and shares it. It is not meaningful to ask if what must be is so, but it is meaningful to ask why you are unaware of what is so, for this must have an answer if the plan of God for your salvation is complete. And it must be complete because Source knows not of incompletion. Where would the answer be but in the Source? And where are you but there, where this same answer is? Your identity, as much a true effect of this same Source as is the answer, must therefore be together and the same. Oh yes, you know this, and more than this alone. Yet any part of knowledge threatens dissociation as much as all of it, and all of it will come with any part. Here is the part you can accept. What reason points to, you can see, because the witnesses on its behalf are clear. Only the totally insane can disregard them, and you have gone past this. Reason is a means that serves the Holy Spirit's purpose in its own right. It is not reinterpreted and redirected from the goal of sin as are the others. For reason is beyond the ego's range of means. Faith and perception and belief can be misplaced and serve the great deceiver's needs as well as truth. But reason has no place at all in its madness, nor can it be adjusted to fit its end. Faith and belief are strong in madness, guiding perception toward what the mind is valued. But reason enters not at all in this, for the perception would fall away at once if reason were applied. There is no reason in insanity, for it depends entirely on reason's absence. The ego never uses it, because it does not realize that it exists. The partially insane have access to it, and only they have need of it. Knowledge does not depend on it, and madness keeps it out. The part of mind where reason lies was dedicated by your will in union with your mother's to the undoing of insanity. Here was the Holy Spirit's purpose accepted and accomplished both at once. Reason is alien to insanity, and those who use it have gained a means which cannot be applied to sin. Knowledge is far beyond attainment of any kind, but reason can serve to open doors you closed against it. You have come very close to this. Faith and belief have shifted, and you have asked the question the ego will never ask. Does not your reason tell you now the question must have come from something that you do not know, but must belong to you? Faith and belief, upheld by reason, cannot fail to lead to changed perception. And in this change is room made way for vision. Vision extends beyond itself, as does the purpose that it serves and all the means for its accomplishment. It's pretty radical to suggest that the ego has no access to reason whatsoever. All of us who see ourselves as separate selves and therefore associated with the ego like to think of ourselves as reasonable. But A Course in Miracles makes the radical claim that the only thing that is truly reasonable is love. Everything else is madness. And it talks about how faith and belief can be bent towards insane perceptions and insane conclusions, but reason cannot. Reason is always sane, and love is reasonable and logical, and in fact is the only thing that is reasonable and logical. I actually find this claim comforting. All right, Lesson 183. I call upon God's name and on my own. God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon her name is but to call upon your own. A mother gives her child her name, and thus identifies the child with her. Her sisters share her name, and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your mother's name reminds you who you are, even within a world that does not know, even though you have not remembered it. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind that calls you to remember. Say her name, and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. Repeat God's name, and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. Repeat the name of God, and little names have lost their meaning. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat her name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you valued. They have lost the name of God you gave them. They become anonymous and valueless to you, although before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. Repeat the name of God and call upon your self, whose name is hers. Repeat her name, and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the holy child of God. And should you join a sister as you sit with her in silence and repeat God's name along with her, within your quiet mind, you have established there an altar which reaches to God herself and to her child. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly, again and still again. Become oblivious to every name but hers. Hear nothing else. Let all your thoughts become anchored on this. No other word we use, except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once, and then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own. Thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused, and God will come and answer it herself. Think not she hears the little prayers of those who call on her name with names of idols cherished by the world. They cannot reach her thus. She cannot hear requests that she be not herself, or that her child receive another name than hers. Repeat God's name, and you acknowledge her as sole creator of reality, and you acknowledge also that her child is part of her, creating in her name. Sit silently and let her name become the all-encompassing idea that holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one, and to all other thoughts respond with this, and see God's name replace the 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts, not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all that there will be. Today, you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gift of grace. You can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. You can accept today the part you play in its salvation and your own as well, and both can be accomplished perfectly. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within it. Words are insignificant, and all requests unneeded when God's child calls on her mother's name. Her mother's thoughts become her own. She makes her claim to all her mother gave, is giving still, and will forever give. She calls on her to let all things she thought she made be nameless now, and in their place the holy name of God becomes her judgment of their wholeness. All little things are silent. Little sounds are soundless now. The little things of earth have disappeared. The universe consists of nothing but the child of God who calls upon her mother, and her mother's voice gives answer in her mother's holy name. In this eternal still relationship, in which communication far transcends all words, and yet exceeds in depth and height whatever words could possibly convey, is peace eternal. In our mother's name, we would experience this peace today, and in her name it shall be given us. There is a tradition, perhaps stemming from the Old Testament, to use the phrase, the name of God, repeatedly and frequently without using the actual name of God or referring to it as though there is something problematic about saying it. And we kind of see that echoed here because it doesn't come out and say what the name of God is, nor does it ever really in A Course in Miracles, I think. But did we not just have a review in which every reviewed idea was enveloped by the phrase, God is but love and therefore so am I? I propose that the true name of God is love, that love is a sacred word, and the only problem with it is that it has become tied to things that are not love, like special relationships, which are primarily about attachment, or the concept of tough love, which we see is a complete oxymoron, as goodness and deprivation cannot meet as day and night cannot meet. And we are told repeatedly of gentleness and kindness and thoughtfulness, and how sacrifice and punishment are not of God. And even the slightest twinge of anger is equal to murder and has nothing to do with God. Yes, so I propose that love is the true name of God, and that we benefit greatly from repeating the word love in our minds throughout the day and frequently. Now, I would say a bit about how we are using a version of A Course in Miracles that uses only female words. So we have this part that talks about how all mothers give their names to their children. And indeed, anthropology and all evidence shows us that when you go back far enough in all human traditions, you get to a matrilineal system that dates back to before patriarchy took hold, and in fact, in many cultures perpetuates in spite of patriarchy, where name and possession are passed down from mother to child. And in fact, if you go back to the origins of humans, before there was animal husbandry and agriculture, there was perhaps no concept of fatherhood at all, that mother was the only parent, for out of the mother's body comes the new life. All can witness this. And fatherhood? This is a thing that cannot be known, for intimacy between men and women was not controlled. And even today, we have tribal people that believe that a woman carrying a child, that child bears the mark from every man that woman is intimate with, and she is intimate with many. And if A Course in Miracles is accurate, that all of this is a complete and utter fabrication and delusion, how do we know that when humans started doing tests of breeding animals and plants and observing the patterns and looking through microscopes to see cells and how they behaved, how do we know that that was not filling in the gaps in this simulation, in this video game, in this dream, to show us what we expected to see? And there is no inherent truth in it, but rather perhaps it was a collapsing of the wave function of probability into something crystallized and solid that fulfilled our expectations of what we thought we would see after patriarchy took hold. How can we be certain? These are all radical ideas. I understand that. I just offer them up for your consideration, and I wish you, dear listener, happy practicing.